Now that's more like it. Okay, this is going to be a very positive review because I just saw this last night in a packed movie theater and everyone enjoyed it. In fact, this is one of the few blockbusters I can think of where I can't really think of anything I didn't like or anything I would change. The performances are all on point. Everything just works in this movie. It's just like, whew, it's hard for me to even process just how much fun I had at this movie. I can't remember the last time I had this much fun going to the movies. This may be the blockbuster I've had the most pure enjoyment while just sitting in a movie theater watching it and eating my popcorn. I mean, no, it's not the greatest work of art ever made, but it doesn't ask you to turn off your brain either like so many other movies now. It's just that sweet spot, and this is definitely more Ghostbusters than Ghostbusters 2. It's more of a supernatural horror adventure than it is a straight-up comedy. And I went in thinking, okay, this is going to be Stranger Things with a Ghostbusters skin on it, but that might be an enjoyable way to spend 2 hours. But no, this is its own thing. And here's the best thing I can say about this movie, is you could take away all the Ghostbusters stuff. You could make this just about a family discovering their heritage, and you could make it not ghosts, you could make it anything else. You could change the ghosts into aliens and make the grandfather a paranormal researcher in this movie who was looking into alien abductions and have it somehow something to do with aliens. And the basic story and these actors would make it work, and it would be so well put together, I would still have watched this movie. I still would have gone, okay, that was a good movie. Duh, that was a really good movie, just obviously inspired by Ghostbusters. To me, that's the essence of a good sequel. When you could strip out when you could strip out everything that makes it part of a franchise, and it would still work as a story. And that's what this does. And in a way, this is the movie Hollywood has been trying to make since at least the Star Trek reboot in 2009, but keeps failing because they're not smart enough to make it. And also, I'm not saying that every movie has to be like this, but I'm saying the way that they did this movie behind the scenes is also, I think, the future of Hollywood. Because let's face it, the days of billion-dollar box office are gone forever. They're gone. So you need to get back to, instead of spending $200 to $400 million on a movie, they need to get back to only spending $60 to $80 million making a blockbuster. So that when it makes $300 million worldwide, it's still a hit. And I think this shows that they went with mostly character actors who don't have huge egos and don't demand big salaries, and they got the right actors for the parts. And then this doesn't have as big action scenes as, say, the 2016 movie or a Marvel movie, but you don't notice that when you're watching because you like these characters so much. And that's the other thing. This movie is not nostalgia bait. Unlike all these other movies, all these other movies, it doesn't constantly call back with its score. Its score is its own thing. In fact, the Ghostbusters theme is only used in the end credits. I went into this expecting them to, do what all these movies do, which is use the Ghostbusters theme constantly in order to memberberry juice you. And the references to previous Ghostbusters are actually pretty subtle, and there aren't as many of them as you would think. I mean, they have the Ghostbusters gear in this movie, but that's it. And it's very much a story about the new characters without being insulting to the old characters, and the old characters complement it. And there's a definite passing of the torch. And I found that and here's the thing, I found that by the half-hour mark, I was so engrossed in the new characters, I was no longer thinking about when were the Ghostbusters going to show, when were the real Ghostbusters going to show up. I was like, oh. And then when they did show up, it was just icing on the cake, and it just added an extra layer, and it added some extra depth to the story and some extra emotional content. And boy, does this nail everything right. But it's just like the action scenes all are about the characters, and then this movie actually feels like a movie. It builds up its characters, it builds up a sense of tension. The ghosts are scary. There's a good mix of CGI and puppet effects. It's whatever was needed to make that scene work. And I just think this is a good blueprint for Hollywood moving forward. Hollywood, if you want to continue to survive, this is how you do it. Make something that people like. Give us good characters that we like. If you want to bring back these old franchises, do a genuine passing of the torch, and don't make it cringe like the old guys are saying, you're so much better than we wanted to be. Have it be like this, where they're just like, oh, yeah, you did good, kid. Yeah, we see that our, yeah, and there's actually a bit where the Ghostbusters are saying, and it's very subtle the way that they have the Ghostbusters pass the torch to this new generation, because they are just like, yeah, we're from the home office. So, without them actually coming out and saying, you're real Ghostbusters, by saying that they're their home office now, they're basically saying, yeah, you're a branch in this, part of the country, and nobody has to prove anything. This has the most likable character. Here's one of the things I was impressed by. First of all, they got this actress who I don't even know where she came from, but good night. I was talking to my sister, and we were like, she really does look like Spengler. She looks like she really does. I think she really does look and act like, and she has a lot of the same sense of humor as Egon Spengler, but it's not an impersonation. She's her own person. It's so well developed. Everything about this movie is just so well developed. You can tell that there was thought and effort put into it, and it's been so long since I've seen a blockbuster movie that did that. This just blew me away. I really want to see this movie again. And I'm probably going to see this multiple times in theaters, just like I have with Dune. I mean, right now, good night. Dune is the best science fiction movie I've probably seen since Gattaca, but this is the best popcorn blockbuster flick I've probably seen since, I don't even know when, maybe The Dark Knight. It's just that good. Only this is, yeah, and it's like this movie has its own feel, but it also feels like a Ghostbusters movie. I'm sorry, but it's hard to describe to somebody who hasn't seen it, because the trailers do not do this justice. The marketing doesn't do this justice. This is the single best blockbuster, pure entertainment movie made for, a wide family audience that I have seen in at least 10 to 15 years. It's just that amazing. And I don't want to go here, but it's hard to nail down the details. It's like all the little things. It's like the direction is on point, and it's like not just where the camera is put, not just how scenes are played out, but like how the actors are directed. Like, for instance, the kid from Stranger Things. I assumed that Mike from Stranger Things was going to be put in here to do exactly what he did in Stranger Things, just like the girl who plays Elle in every movie I've seen her in. She's just playing Elle, but no, he's playing a completely different character, and this is something that other actors, even adult actors, have trouble with. So an actor of his age nailing this, I'm just shocked. But there are subtle differences between this character and Mike. He still plays to his strengths as an actor, but this is not Mike. I wasn't reminded, and I totally forgot about Mike in Stranger Things while watching him, because this character is not that. This is not Stranger Things with Ghostbuster thing. This is just a really good supernatural adventure and supernatural adventure movie that just happens to be a Ghostbusters movie. This is, I mean, and there are so many heartfelt nods to the original, but you don't need it. But you don't need them. You can watch this movie completely standalone. I'm telling you, you could take a kid to see this who's never seen the first two Ghostbusters movies or any of the cartoons or any of that, and they will still get it. There are so many cool gadgets, so many cool things happening in the action scenes. Everything in this is just, it's just like they wanted to make a really good story, and they told a really good story. And quite honestly, I liked these new Ghostbusters to the point where I definitely watch a movie that was just them, because most of this movie was just them, and I was blown away by it. If Sony wants to make a sequel, I will watch it. And there are some great moments too for old school fans. Like, there's a great moment where it feels like Bill Murray in particular, there's some meta moments that feel like Bill Murray in particular are apologizing to Harold Ramis for all the little petty disagreements they had when he was alive, and it just feels like a love letter not just to Harold Ramis, but to everyone who made those films, while also being its own thing. It's just a story about a family basically finding their roots, who feels uprooted and finding their roots, and thus finding where they belong, but also driving around shooting ghosts with, and it's just like, ooh, yeah, it's just a fun ride. And get out and see this movie. You will love it. If you're any sort of a Ghostbusters fan, you will love it. If you're just looking for something fun to see over Thanksgiving weekend, you'll love this. And and here's the thing. I know some people will say that that it means Ghostbusters has lost its edge, but I couldn't think of a single thing that I would object to. You know, here's the thing. Anything that's even slightly adult in this, I think will fly over the heads of kids young enough, so you can just go to this with your family. There's no preaching at the audience. It's a Ghostbusters story. This understands what a blockbuster is supposed to be, and honestly, I do reiterate that I think this is the future for Hollywood. You need to scale back your action, stop paying your actors so much, and then if you do a focused story where we care about the characters, then the action scenes actually have more impact than when we see a whole armies of CGI characters rushing at each other like in Endgame. Yeah, this was so much better than Endgame. I actually like this more than Ghostbusters 2. Right now, my ranking for Ghostbusters movies is Ghostbusters, Ghostbusters Afterlife, Ghostbusters 2. That's it. This is not just the Ghostbusters sequel you've been waiting for. This is the blockbuster you've been waiting for to make it fun to go to the movies again. I mean, this is a movie where everybody in the theater, you know, we were in the theater looking at this really big screen with the Dolby Atmos all around us. Everybody was getting scared at the right point. I mean, this movie even uses jump scares correctly, not as a crutch. There are like 2 jump scares in this movie, and they're both used correctly. And this movie just builds tension so well. It's just, wow. You can tell when a movie is a passion project. You can tell, and this does not have any of the corporate garbage in it that, you know, churned out by a machine. It's been so long since I've gone to the movies, sat down and said, okay, this feels like people who care. And now, in the past month, I've gotten both Dune and this. I feel a bit spoiled right now after years of just coasting along and going and putting up. And now I wonder, you know, my standards were lowered by other blockbusters that have come out. Now I'm looking at other blockbusters and going, yeah, those ones that I thought were so good, they don't feel so good now that I've actually remembered what makes me enjoy going to the movies. Movies like this are why I go to the movies to unwind after a stressful day at work. This is the type of movie that you can go to and you'll just have a blast and you'll forget everything going on in the world. All the news reports, everything. This is the type of movie Hollywood used to excel at making. And if they want to survive, this is the type of movie that they need to get back to making. Where it costs a little less, but it has a much greater positive impact on the audience. And it's not just about satisfying the stars' egos or checking off boxes that they think are necessary to make a good movie. This movie is so much more than I thought it would. And I don't want to give spoilers away because seeing how it played out and how it went completely against my expectations just made it so much more enjoyable. So I'm sorry if this has just been me gushing, but I just want to let you know you need to get out to see this movie. You will enjoy it. Take your whole family. They'll have a blast. Get yourself some popcorn. Just everybody eat some popcorn and drink some soda and watch this thing because, you know, popcorn flick is usually used as a derivative, but when it's done well, a popcorn flick can be every bit as good and enjoyable as a more intellectual movie. I mean, this year I saw Citizen Kane in theaters, and that's my favorite film of all time. And oh boy, that was one of the best movie theater going experiences I've ever had in my life. But this was also perfectly enjoyable too. I mean, I'm not saying this is Citizen Kane, but I'm just saying that just the experience of seeing it in theaters. This is worth seeing in theaters because just the experience of seeing it in a theater full of people where everybody had to reserve their tickets a month ago and just seeing it with all these people who were just enjoying it just made it so much more than what it could have been. And this is one of those movies that I'm going to get the moment it drops on disc because, wow, I just enjoyed this so much. This is the best summer blockbuster type movie, popcorn flick that has been made in over a decade. This is the movie Star Trek was supposed to be. This is the movie the Star Wars sequels was supposed to be. This is the movie so many movies trying to reboot these classic franchises wanted it to be. And you are just going to have a blast because it's a good movie on its own. It's a good movie first and a Ghostbusters movie second. So get out there, enjoy this. This is the best family entertainment you will have this year. Okay? And see you later.